Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And there's been a lot of discussion about Sony and how they can compete with something like Xbox Game Pass. Last year, Sony, of course, introduced PlayStation Plus Extra, which was, I'd say, a good step in the right direction, but it also feels like they still need something more to just kind of keep players enticed. Something to consistently look forward to, and well, they might have just given us our first sign that they do indeed have something planned going forward. This could ultimately be a great strategy for them. Also, it appears a couple beloved Nintendo games could be making their return sometime in the near future. I know I'm very excited about this, so we'll get into that one as well. Per usual, though, we do have a lot to get into today, so let's just go and get right into things, starting off with Xbox. The Xbox Series has now cleared yet another big milestone in Japan by selling 400,000 plus units in the region since it first launched. Now, at first, that might not sound like a lot compared to PlayStation and especially Nintendo, which just completely dominates in Japan. And yes, you're right about that. But this is still quite a significant milestone for Xbox this early in a generation. See, the thing is that Xbox isn't so much competing with its rivals in Japan, but rather they're competing with themselves. And that's kind of the thing here, because the Xbox Series has long outsold the Xbox One, which sold right around 115,000 units in Japan, so it's easily eclipsed that. And now it's also closing in on the original Xbox as well, which sold 473,000 units. So by all indication, the Xbox Series will soon be the second best-selling Xbox in Japan, only behind the Xbox 360. However, the 360, being their most successful console in Japan, went on to sell 1.6 million units. So still a very large gap there, and it may not catch the 360 in the long run. We'll see about all that. They did snag some high-profile Japanese exclusives back during that generation, such as Lost Odyssey. They got Blue Dragon and also Tales of Vesperia. I actually like to see them make those types of investments again with the Xbox Series. Lost Odyssey 2, please. I'm just throwing that out there. But either way, compared to last generation, the Xbox Series is doing much, much better in Japan, which is great to see. Next up, one of the major problems that we've seen this generation thus far has been stock shortages, especially when it comes to the PlayStation 5. I mean, here you are and you have your money ready, and you want to go out and buy a PlayStation 5, but none of these retailers will actually take your money. How rude, right? Well, the good news here is that Sony recently pledged to fix this issue in 2023. Well, about that, if you are on the hunt for the PlayStation 5, I do have some good news today. It does indeed appear that after 2 long years, yes, 2 long years, the PlayStation 5 is now finally readily available. As of this recording, you can actually go to various websites, including Amazon, GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, and Target, all of which have at least one PlayStation 5 SKU in stock. Some actually have multiple, including the standard and digital edition. Now, with that, one thing that I have kind of noticed is that the God of War Ragnarok bundle that goes for $560 is the most readily available out of the 3, though that's kind of been the situation for a little while now. It does seem like Sony's pushing those bundles more than the standard and digital edition, but either way, as of this moment, it does look like we can finally put the days of scalpers taking advantage of the low stock situation behind us, thankfully. Now, we also got some new PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games, and this month is particularly interesting. I'll get into why here in just a moment, but first, let's go take a look at the full lineup here. So, for Extra subscribers, you'll get Horizon Forbidden West, The Quarry, Resident Evil 7, Outriders, Scarlet Nexus, Borderlands 3, Tekken 7, Ace Combat 7, Earth Defense Force 5, Oninaki, Lost Sphere, I Am Setsuna, and then last but not least, you have The Forgotten City. Then for premium members, in addition to all of those, you'll also get 3 new classics, being The Legend of Dragoon, yeah, definitely get that one, Wild Arms 2, and then also Harvest Moon Back to Nature. Then on top of that, for whatever reason, premium members will also get the PlayStation 4 version of Destroy All Humans. Honestly, I feel like that should have probably been an extra instead, but they previously did this with some of the Yakuza games as well. I guess their line of thinking is that they're classics because they're technically remaster or a remake of an old PlayStation 2 game. I don't know. I still feel like this is a weird situation, but hey, It is what it is. What I will say, though, is that this is a very high-quality lineup of games, especially for PlayStation Plus Extra. Definitely go check out The Forgotten City if you haven't already. That's probably one of the most overlooked games this generation thus far. But the thing that really stood out to me about this lineup in specific is the introduction of Horizon Forbidden West. See, this is a big first-party PlayStation game, and what's interesting about its inclusion is that it's almost exactly 1 year after its original launch. It did launch on February 18th of 2022, and it'll be heading to PlayStation Plus Extra on February 21st. So its inclusion is almost exactly 1 year apart, and that has me curious. On one side, this could be Sony's way of capitalizing on the Burning Shores expansion, which is coming soon. I believe that's coming on April 19th, correct me if I'm wrong, but with Horizon Forbidden West coming to PlayStation Plus Extra, that means more players, which also means more people will buy into its expansion. So that could be one reason that they're suddenly including it into PlayStation Plus Extra. However, this could also be a new strategy as well. Now, we've talked about this before, but one thing that Sony can do to better compete with Xbox Game Pass is by staggering their own first-party games into their subscription services. See, they don't necessarily have to launch their own games into PlayStation Plus Extra day one per se. If Sony's not willing to do that, which, I mean, it doesn't seem like they are since they don't find it financially viable for their games, and hey, that's perfectly okay. But they could still do something like this where they stagger their games 6 months to 12 months down the road. That way they can still capitalize on $70 games, and then for those that are subscribed, they can just wait it out for its eventual PlayStation Plus release. Now, this might not necessarily be as enticing as day one games per se, but for those that are patient, this would still be something to consistently look forward to if this indeed is a new strategy for them. That's kind of the thing here, though. Sony hasn't really announced anything just yet, so this is all just kind of speculation for the time being. We do still need to see if this is a trend going forward, or if this is just a one-time only thing. If this really is a trend, though, we won't really have to wait too long to kind of find out here. Gran Turismo 7 did release last year in March, so we'll see if they release GT7 into PlayStation Plus soon or not. Let me know what you all think about this, though. If this is a new strategy for them, is 1 year staggered first-party releases enough? Or do you instead think that they need to bring that down to 6 months or something like that? Oh, and for you Metroid fans out there, you are living the good life right now. It's starting to look like the Nintendo Switch is becoming the go-to place for the Metroid franchise. Whether you want to play old classics on Nintendo Switch Online, completely brand new games like Metroid Dread, or the remaster/remake of Metroid Prime that just released. Definitely go play that game because, it's amazing. But yes, the Switch has access to various Metroid entries, though I will say at that same time, I've also seen various questions over the last week. What about Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3? Well, as I pointed out before, when Jeff Grubb originally leaked the Metroid Prime remaster last year, he did also say that Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are coming as well. We can actually see his exact quote here that says, "The other scoop here is that those games are also coming. They're also pretty much done, it sounds like, but Nintendo being Nintendo is going to hold on to them and will likely drop them later along the road. However, Nintendo decides in what order to release their games, they are going to do that. But they are going to do it separately, it sounds like. And Metroid Prime 1, my understanding is that's getting the big remaster treatment. And then Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3 are sort of getting, they'll probably get like updated controls and things like that. But they're not getting quite the same overhaul that Metroid Prime 1 is getting." Now, the reason I bring this up, because I know I talked about this just the other day, is because Jeff Grubb was asked about this and whether or not all of this is still true. Of course, he made this claim like 8 months ago or something, but he once again reiterated that by responding to somebody on Twitter by simply saying, "Correct." So there you go. He's doubling down on those Metroid Prime 2 and Prime 3 Switch games, which, I mean, I think makes perfect sense. I've said this before, but the thing about Metroid is, for as good of a series as it is, it unfortunately never quite got the spotlight that it truly deserved. In terms of quality, it's right up there with some of Nintendo's best games, such as Zelda, Mario, Pokemon, etc., but it's never taken off quite the same way either. It's a shame, really, but yes, it would be nice for Nintendo to just kind of refresh everybody's memory and introduce this series to just completely new players before Metroid Prime 4 hits the market. I think that would be the good move to make here. If it does happen, though, I guess just don't go in expecting these games to be quite the same as the Prime Remaster in terms of visuals. Rather, it sounds like they're going to be treated more akin to something like Skyward Sword HD, which put a big focus on updating its controls to better fit with the Switch. That's probably what we're looking at here, though I do kind of wonder how they're going to release these games. Will they continue to release them one by one, or instead, will they just do a combo package or something like that? That kind of remains to be seen, but I could see a scenario where Nintendo just releases them one by one, all being about $40 a piece. Hey, if they all have physical versions, though, yeah, I'm good. Now, speaking of Nintendo, rumors continue that they are set to release a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom themed Switch OLED. I don't think that this should really come as overly shocking or anything. Nintendo has done various limited edition Switch OLEDs alongside some of their bigger releases like Splatoon 3 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so you know, this would kind of fit the trend. I'd actually be more surprised if this thing doesn't exist. Nonetheless, though, supposed pictures of this Zelda OLED previously leaked out online, and now yet another rumor seemingly points to when you'll be able to pre-order it yourself. This is coming from Nintendo Prime on YouTube, which claimed that a new internal SKU is up on GameStop for a new Switch model with a mysterious March 10th date next to it. Now, considering Zelda won't be out until May, this March 10th date has caused some speculation, but if it truly is for the Zelda Switch OLED as presumed, I imagine this date is for possible pre-orders. Either way, though, if all of this turns out to be true, then an incoming announcement is sounding rather imminent, and you might want to go ahead and keep an eye out for that if you are looking to get this Zelda Switch OLED. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, now that Dead Island 2 has gone gold, are you hyped for it? And as you can see here, 23% of you said yes, 18% of you said no, but you were when it was originally announced, and then 50% of you said no. Now, 23% of you being interested is actually pretty decent based on some of my previous polls, but what I was particularly interested in here is whether or not its many delays had killed some of its hype. I wanted to see if that is the case, and it does seem like that, yes, it's affected at least some of you, and I think that that's understandable. 10 years, that's a long time, and as we grow older, our tastes and things, they change. I mean, when the original Dead Island released years and years ago, this was around the time when zombies were huge. And some of that seems to have died out over the years, so yeah, I could see why some would maybe be a little less interested now than what they were back then. Still though, I am happy to see this game finally release, especially for you all that are interested. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.